Good morning, everyone. Good morning, live viewers. Good morning, new viewers on Facebook. We're here on Facebook Live. The Petscope TV has moved to Facebook Live starting yesterday. Good morning, replay viewers, wherever you're watching, whether it's here on Facebook, on Twitter, on the WAG of the Tale archive. Hello, Monique. Good to see you. For those of you who, in case you're tuning in, since it's a little different than Periscope, we can't necessarily see who has, I guess we can see who's joined. But it's nice if everyone can just, when people come in, sign in, post a comment, let's just see who's here. So we have, hey, Monique, hi, all right, all right, this is good. This is so much nicer to be able to read these comments like this. So welcome to another episode. This is episode 5 today of WAG of the Tale. This on the Petscope TV. Petscope TV is Periscope's first network all about pets. So glad you can view and comment today. Yes, why? I guess you were having an issue before. I don't know. Anyhow, you can get the complete schedule of Petscope TV shows at thepetscopetv.com, and that you can just subscribe to the Google Calendar. You can see when everyone's on. We have another show coming up in a couple hours today. Melissa from Tort Rescue is going to be talking about lizards and tortoises and things that have scales and shells. WAG of the Tale is my weekly free-range variety magazine show about animals and the difference that people and animals make in each other's lives. My name is Randy Lyman. I'm the pet uncle. I'm the host of the show, and I'm glad to have you with me for another episode. If you've seen WAG of the Tale before, then you know that I start off each episode with just a little news segment before launching into the show's topic. And this is a segment of the show I've been wanting to do a little more with. It's been kind of fun. So far, all the news has been kind of funny news about cats going on unexpected trips by car, by plane, by British postal mail. There was a cat that actually mailed itself in a box in England not all that long ago. All of them have been sort of happily reunited with their owners. But today, I'm going to just devote the whole episode to just some animal news and just start spreading this section of the show out a little bit more. So we're going to just be looking at news. It's going to be some of it's funny, some of it's serious, some of it's uplifting, some of it's inspirational. I've been a journalist and reporter for more than 25 years, and so I'm just sort of bringing that sort of sensibility here to WAG of the Tale, where we look at the animal news in very much a spirit of sort of serious but playful inquisitiveness and inquiry, wanting to just sort of find things out. And so when I discover things, I'm gonna bring them here and share with you. So everyone, please feel free to comment. Feel free so I can just see who's here. If you haven't liked, I think you show up if you like the page first. Hi Donna, good to see you. I think if you like the Petscope TV page, then your name will show up when you first join. I'm seeing some people join, but please just introduce yourselves. Let everyone know who's here, so you can, because so much a part of these shows is the way that viewers all interact with each other, not just with me, and answering the questions. You can share on Facebook to your own groups, to your own pages, and so on. So please just feel free to do that. I much appreciate it. I missed the hearts, gotta say, missed the hearts here. That was always sort of a nice feature of Periscope, but I'm sure Facebook Live will come up with some other new ways of interacting. But it is easier to read your comments here, I must say. That is much easier. So today we're going to look at some news of the wild. First, let me just start off by saying just a little bit of personal news. Yesterday, I took part, you all remember Jupiter, the rescue rabbit that I made a video of some time ago. Yesterday, rabbitrescue.com held a rabbit adoption event at one of the Petco stores here in San Francisco for 2 hours. We had 4 rabbits out on display. We talked, a lot of people stopped by. I like how the comments don't cover my face too, although it doesn't matter as much whether I see me, I suppose. But hello, Therese. Thank you for joining. I'm just getting started on the introduction and talking about yesterday's rabbit adoption event that I've been volunteering with rabbitrescue.com to help them get some rabbits adopted. And this is Jupiter. I made a little adoption video of Jupiter a couple months ago. Jupiter was there, still hasn't found a home yet, but he was there and quite adorable, and just as always. And we had a little lesson on how to trim a rabbit's nails. I know Dr. Julie Busby did that on her Petscope TV show yesterday, how to trim a dog's nails. Well, I learned how to trim a rabbit's nails, and it's not all that. It's kind of similar to a dog's nails, but you can watch the video of it on Facebook. My partner Diana shot some video. You can see it on our Facebook page at Style Pets Boutique, which I'll show you the URL for that in a little while. But just wanted to let you know we had a great rabbit adoption event yesterday here in San Francisco. Speaking of other small mammals, but not just yet, you may know, I'm sure you do, that California, we here on the West Coast have been experiencing a drought for the last 4 years, and the El Nino rains that we've had recently helped a lot, but they haven't solved the problem yet. As you can see here, we've got this is a picture of a river and a reservoir in California in 2014, and this is just a couple of weeks ago, I guess, not very recently. You can see how much rain we've had. Here's another one. You can see Lake Oroville up here in Northern California. Up at the top, the top was 6 months ago, and down below you can see how much water has filled in. So the El Nino rains have really helped a lot. They haven't solved the problem, but now some environmental scientists, well, I should say our state legislature and other politicians, now that things have kind of eased up a little bit and the immediate crisis is over, we're looking at new ways to conserve water and to maybe build some more dams, maybe do some other, take some other measures. Too bad Texas can't send some rain your way. That would be great. I think that the solution to all of our nation's water problems is the construction of a national aqueduct system like they had in the Roman Empire, where we could take all the snow and rain that comes down in other parts of the country and just send it out west. And come on, it would be jobs created in like every state of the union. The politicians would be happy. The construction unions would be happy. Everybody, and water would get distributed fairly in this country. That's what I think we need. We don't need, so many other things. We don't need more freeways. We don't need nuclear power plants. What we need is a national aqueduct system. But as the state legislators are talking about building dams, environmental scientists are looking at another kind of dam building to ease the state's water problems. They are looking to beavers. It turns out, as it happens, that beavers are nature's hydrologists, and they don't just build dams and things to live in. They actually engineer the way that water travels through a landscape. They, when they build the dams and they stock these up, that helps rainwater sort of stay in the landscape. So much of our, maybe it was all flooding that way. Well, yes, actually it would, because when water is stored in a watershed, it has a chance to seep into the ground, whereas so much of our aqueduct system in this country, and especially like in California, is geared towards keeping water out of the landscape for agriculture and sending it to the sea. And dams do the opposite thing. And what happens is when you get rid of all that water that way, then the ground dries out. And so when you do have rain, it doesn't absorb as well and more of it floods out. So yes, beaver dams actually would help with the flooding situation. They would help keep water in the landscape. They would keep the ground wetter, the grass greener, more wildlife would exist there. It would just be, instead of the water just from the rain and snow just rushing down to the sea, it would stay in the landscape. And so a lot of scientists are trying to there's actually a campaign to bring back the beaver into California. North America used to be just overrun with beavers, small ones, and apparently some really super large 7-foot long beavers, which I'm glad. I don't know about you. I both would and would not want to run into a 7-foot long beaver. But these large beavers, they're trying to reintroduce them. There are some model programs in Oregon and some other states, I think even Texas, to do this. But in California, it's the benefits. Not everyone is sold on it. It's not clear where the beavers were introduced. It's not clear what kind of effects they would have, and a lot of other things. But why not? Beavers were building dams and preserving watersheds and landscapes long before we got here, and so now some scientists are bringing the ibex. And part of WAG of the Tale, part of this show is informed by my sensibility as a journalist in the publications that I've worked for, that have combined sort of what I can only really describe as a Midwestern practicality meeting a left coast idealism. In other words, I've worked for papers where it was like how to fight City Hall and where to get the best burger when you're done. Thank you. Hi, Suzanne. Thank you for joining. Hi, Diana. Thank you for joining. Nice to see you all. And if this is not the epitome of Midwestern practicality and left coast idealism in action, then I don't know what is. Get the beavers to build your dams for you. So maybe we'll be seeing that here in California. Who knows? It certainly, anything that will help our drought situation, I think, is going to be a good thing. So in a related sort of another California story, you may have heard that last year we had two very big devastating wildfires here in California that destroyed a lot of homes and displaced a lot of animals. And because these were mostly in rural areas like Lake County and Calaveras County up in the Sierra foothills, it was large animals and farm animals that were largely affected by this. Those are agricultural communities. They rely on cows and horses and goats and sheep for their livelihood and for their economy. But we do have a good news story that came out of this. 6 months after the fire, a woman's cat came home. This little cat in Lake County, which is just up north of here, wandered for 6 months after the fire. And one day, this woman, she was driving up to her home up in Lake County, and she saw a cat that looked like hers just near the home, and she called out to it, and it came up to her. And so we have a good news story here this morning that this cat found its way home 6 months after being displaced by a wildfire that destroyed his whole area. So mom and cat are happily back together. The cat seems to be looks just fine. It was a little worn out, but apparently none the worse for wear. So it is back home now. And along with the cat story, I think in the first episode of WAG of the Tale, yes, this is nice to have a happy ending to that story. This cat wandered the woods for 6 months and finally found its way home. In episode 1 of WAG of the Tale, I reported on Oakland's Cat Town Cafe, which was the very first cat cafe in the country, and has now, there's cat cafes now all over the country, all over England, all over Australia, in short, all over the English-speaking world. We have cat cafes. Well, as the saying goes, every dog has his day, and today there is now the nation's first dog cafe, just recently opened in, of all places, Los Angeles. It's very similar. That you can go in. They don't serve food there, but you can get coffee and tea and lemonade. It is for rescue dogs. That you can go in. The dogs hang out there. You can go in. You can sit with the dogs. You can just look at, and you can adopt them as well. So, joining the growing phenomenon of cat cafes in this country and elsewhere, we now have America's first dog cafe in Los Angeles, and that's what it's called, the Dog Cafe. Let me point out that there are links to the Dog Cafe and to all the stories that I'm referring to in today's episode. You can find those in my show notes that are on my blog, the Pet Uncle blog. If you go to WagOfTheTale.live, WagOfTheTale.live, you can get a whole replay of all my shows. And you will, and then the show notes will include links to all the stories I'm referring to, including a link to the Dog Cafe. So yes, Dog Cafe, and Sarah is, I guess, not on here, but she's moving to LA soon, so she can go check it out for us and tell us how it is. WAG of the Tale. WAG of the TALE. I'll show the URL actually a little later. I should have it in the middle of the show here, but I don't. But it's WagOfTheTale.live. So thank you for putting that up there so people can see. Sarah is apparently trying to send me Facebook messages. What's next? In other news, on April 10th, The ASPCA turned 150 years old on April 10th. It's been around with us for that long. And so as part of that, they have launched 150, hi Sarah, good to see you. Wait, let me back up for just a second, because you're moving to LA. The country's first dog cafe has just opened in Los Angeles, so we're expecting you to go check it out and let us know how it is. I reported in Wag of the Tale about the growing phenomenon of cat cafes. There's now a dog cafe where you can go have some coffee and tea, and they have rescue dogs there for adoption. So the link to it is on in the show notes for today's show at WagOfTheTale.live. So hope you all check it out. ASPCA turned 150 years old on April 10th, and in honor of that, they have started a 150 days of rescue campaign. And what they are doing is, not only are they trying to raise $150,000 in 150 days, but trying to inspire people. They're trying to sort of reach 150,000 actions for animals in 150 days. And all you need to do is, between now and September 17th, donate 15 minutes of your time. Could be to a shelter, could be an event, could be, any walking dogs. It could be all kinds of things. And then you can go to their page, which is at aspca.org/150 days, 150 DAYS. And then you just log in what you did, and tell them. And they seem to be, after only a week, they seem to be up to at least, it's not exactly numbered, but on the little thermometer scale, seems like they've got between 1,000 and 2,000 actions already in just the first week. So between now and September 7th, next time you do something that, to volunteer or take some sort of action for animals, go to aspca.org/150 DAYS, and you can just log in your action and help them count towards the 150 days. And if you go to that page, you can also watch their celebrity-studded video with people like Jason Schwartzman, Adrian Moore, who played Cindy in Orange is the New Black, Edie Falco from The Sopranos and Nurse Jackie is in the video, and rapper Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, and Martha Stewart is in the video, and a whole lot of other people. So check out the SPCA and help them celebrate their 150 years anniversary between now and September 7th. Sticking with the letter A, Apple's App Store has Apps for Earth is being featured on. If you go to iTunes right now, they have a variety of apps that are related to the environment, to wildlife, to the oceans, to all sorts of things. And they have one. They have one for safeguarding wildlife. And so the apps they have are kind of like, seem to be mostly like games or your fun apps or things like that. And sure, why not? But they have partnered with the World Wildlife Fund. If you get the World Wildlife Fund's app, it's a free download, nothing to buy. But once you're in the app, for $1.99, if you buy their tour of planet Earth, and I did this, and I've only started going through it just last night, and it looks really great. For $1.99 through April 24th, which is just this weekend, I think it's Sunday, that if you buy the in-app Planet Earth tour, then 100% of the proceeds, all that $1.99, is going to go to support the World Wildlife Fund. So if you have an iPhone or iPad, please go to the App Store, get the World Wildlife Fund app for free, and check out the Planet Earth tour. It's actually really kind of neat. There's a thing where you can sort of a live 360 view where you hold the app and you see the Earth, and then as you World Wildlife Fund supports hunters. Oh, okay. I guess I didn't know about that. But make your own decision about whether to buy the app. But anyhow, you can still, the money is still going there. So they do a lot of other good things as well too. So anyhow, that's something that one needs to something you always need to do is just sort of research causes on your own. A lot of these organizations, even the ASPCA, they're controversial. A lot of people don't like the stands that they take. So there's never any blanket thing. I mean, like Apple as well. Like, I'm an Apple fan. I love Apple, but you know what? Apple underpays its workers in China too, and does all kinds of abuses. And so it's the kind of thing you gotta. I mean, I would encourage more than just spending money to just give. I would encourage people to really research the causes that they're going to give to and see what's going on. There are going to be things that you don't like about the World Wildlife Fund or ASPCA or Apple for that matter, or Microsoft for that matter, or any of these organizations. And you need to just sort of balance out, the kind of things that you like, whether you think it's worth supporting the organization and can live with the other things they do. Also, the responsible thing to do also, I think, is to, help these organizations change and to be, help Apple, improve its labor practices, improve, the way that it, the safety within its factories. And the same with all these companies and all these organizations. So on another note, we have another technology story. This time it is biotechnology. Maybe you saw Jurassic Park, where scientists created not only a dinosaur theme park but entire dinosaurs from genetic material that they got from the blood of sucked up by mosquitoes from dinosaurs, and they created a whole dinosaur theme park. And of course, recently we learned about the discovery of some ice age frozen puppies in the found in Siberia that were preserved pretty much intact. Are going to provide us with a lot of valuable genetic information about dogs. Oh, all right. Well, you know what? I'm one of those people. I didn't really know that. A front for hunters that kill wild animals for trophies. Okay, well, that is not a good thing. I will certainly agree with you that is not a good thing, and I think that it does bear some more research. So thank you for pointing that out, Sarah. I'll perhaps stand corrected on that. But in any case, well, yes, please research it yourself. Decide if it's the kind of thing that you want to do. So I'll stand a little bit corrected on that. But at least, it's never, whether you're doing something for an organization or not, it's never a bad time or wrong time to do something for animals. But these, anyhow, getting back to this topic, the scientists are now attempting to bring back another extinct species, species that you can see here in these prehistoric cave paintings. An animal called the oryx. You can see the resemblance here over on the left, kind of a bull with the horns. And this is an oryx. This is an extinct species of large wild cattle that once inhabited all over Europe, Asia, North Africa. It weighed as much as 3,300 pounds. That's how much your car weighs. Your car weighs 3,300 pounds, more or less. And horns were as long as 2 feet long. Scientists are trying to bring back a version of the animal based on the genetic code that they have found in 6,700-year-old remains of animals that they have found. But they're not trying to do laboratory genetic research. They're trying to sort of cross. Yes, it does look like a bull. It's a large form of cattle that used to just be predominant and died out in the early 1600s, so almost 400 years ago. What they are doing is, instead of doing the genetic manipulation, they are trying to backbreed and just sort of use modern cattle and do genetic, do crossbreeding and try to recreate the oryx based on the genetic code they have from these fossils. So we will see how well that does. That's certainly not going to be happening anytime soon, but they are working on it. Why they want to bring back the oryx, the article did not specifically say. So, but who knows? It may soon be roaming Europe and Africa and Asia all over again. And speaking of evolution, it turns out Mother Nature Network reports that moths are evolving to deal with the light pollution in cities. This is generations of moths living in big cities and dying at porch lights have in fact made an evolutionary difference. It turns out that urban moths are actually less likely to fly toward lights these days. They seem to have been learning something from all of their ancestors getting scorched to death on light bulbs. They are, however, the fact that they're flying less, though, that has some effects down the food chain. It means that birds and bats and other things that eat moths are finding less food. So who knows how that population is going to happen. But just goes to show you live in a city long enough, it changes you, even if you're a moth. Unfortunately, they will not be able to enjoy that evolutionary advantage that much longer, because as it turns out, and this was just reported a couple days ago also in Mother Nature News, it turns out that the universe is going to end sooner than we previously thought it was going to. The Mother Nature Network says this isn't good news, but the universe is going to last a long time, but now it's dying faster than we thought. So how much longer is the universe going to last, you wonder? Well, they think 1 nonillion years. How long is a nonillion years? And this is because, the universe is just cooling down. The stars are going to burn out. Everything's just going to die a long, slow heat death. Well, that is scheduled to take, a nonillion years is 1 billion times 1 billion times 1 trillion years. But now, according to this new research, it seems like the universe is only going to last 1 million times 1 billion times 1 trillion years. So time is running out. So all I'm saying is just pet your dog or cat while you still have time, because the real issue that we need to face today is not global warming, but universal cooling. Everything is just going to come to an end in this many years. Yes, it's a long time, but why wait till the last minute? Make your preparations now. So that is it for today's show of WAG of the Tale. I'm Randy Lyman. I'm the pet uncle. You've been watching News of the Wild. You can, yes, 1 nonillion years. You heard it here first. I had to look that number up, but there are ways that you can find that out, but what all these big numbers are. So yes, don't wait until the end. Just do something good today. Help an animal today, because time is running out. You only have a nonillion years left. So thanks for watching. I am the Pet Uncle. This is where you can follow me on Twitter and on Periscope. You can read my blog at thepetuncle.com and send me some tips and comments and everything else on email at randy@thepetuncle.com. You can watch replays of the show. We can get my show notes at WagOfTheTale.live. There's that URL I mentioned before. I'm also on Medium /@thepetuncle. And you can visit my Facebook page that I share with my partner, Diana. I get a nonillion hearts. Oh, thank you very much. On Facebook at Style Pets Boutique, that's where my partner, Diana, and I have we have videos, we have photos, we have things when we link to our shop that goes to the Pet Uncle blog. So thank you for watching. I will see you again next week at 8 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Central here on Facebook, The Pet Scope /The Pet Scope. This is Randy Lyman, the Pet Uncle. Thanks very much, and have a good rest of your day and good rest of your week.